Good morning, students. Let us start with a new chapter, Anatomy of Flowering Plant. Now, in this chapter, we will study about tissue system, anatomy of dicotyledonous and monocotyledonous plant, and secondary growth. So, let us see introduction. You can very easily see the structural similarities and variations and in external morphology of larger living organisms, both plants and animals similarly. If we were to study the internal structure, one finds several similarities as well as difference. This chapter, introduction you to internal structure and functional organization of higher plant. Study of internal structure of the plant is called anatomy. Remember this. What is meant by anatomy? Study of plant internal structure is called anatomy. Internal structure, anatomy. External structure, that is called the morphology. Plants have as the basic unit cell, which are organized into tissue, and in turn the tissue are organized into the organ. As we all know that in human system also, in human body also, or multicellular also organism, cell combines together and forms a tissue combines together and form a organ, and organ combines together forms the organ system. Similarly here in the plant also, same way, basic unit is cell, number of cells combine together and forms the tissue, and number of tissues combine together and forms the organ, right? So within the angiosperm, different organ in a plant shows different in their internal structure. So different organ possess different internal structure. Remember this. Within our angiosperm, the monocot and dicot are also seen to be anatomically different. Internal structure also shows adaptations to the diverse environment. So as the environment changes, their internal structure also might be changes. Now we will see about the tissue. What is called the tissue? So a tissue is a group of cells having common origin and usually performing a common function. Remember, tissue means what? The group of cell having common origin and performing common function. So they are derived from the one place or same thing, right? Common origin and common function is called the tissue. A plant is made up of different kind of the tissue. In a plant, one plant you can see different kind of the tissue. So they basically different type of the cells also you may see. Tissues are classified into two main groups, namely meristematic and permanent tissue, based on whether the cell being formed are capable of divide or not. So if the tissues are dividing or tissues are not dividing, if the tissues are dividing, then we will call them as a meristematic tissue, and if the tissues are not dividing, then we will call them as a permanent tissue. So these are two types. Now first let us see what is a meristematic tissue. So the growth in the plant is largely restricted to the specialized region of the active cells division called meristem, right? That is meritose, that is divided, Greek word. GK means it's a Greek word, meristos, that is divided. Plant having different kind of meristems. The meristems which occur at the tip of the root and shoot and produce primary tissue are called apical meristem. Apical meristem means what? So that is present at the root tip. એટલે આગળની અણી છેક ટોચ પર ઊભા હશે, છેક ટોચ પર જોવા મળશે. તો ટીપ ઓફ ધ રૂટ એઝ વેલ એઝ ધ ટીપ ઓફ ધ શૂટ. કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ જુઓ તમે તો કાં તો છેક આગળ કાં તો છેક પાછળ એટલે કે મૂળ. તો એ જગ્યાએથી વધતી જશે. આપણી હાઈટ છે તો સીધી વધે છે, આપણે મોટા થઈએ છીએ. એવું થોડું થાય છે કે ભાઈ માથું ને શરીરનો ભાગ ને તે બધું એવું ને પગ લાંબા થાય, નીચેથી પહેલાં વધીએ પછી ઉપર વધીએ. ના, our growth is from top to bottom to top, right? Similarly પ્લાન્ટ્સની અંદર પણ બંને સાઈડ થશે. પ્લાન્ટ્સમાં શું થશે? રૂટ સાઈડથી ડેવલપમેન્ટ થશે અને શૂટ અપર ભાગ જે છે ઉપરનો ભાગ શૂટ સિસ્ટમ, તો શૂટમાંથી ડેવલપ થશે. અહીંયા તમને ફિગરમાં આપેલું છે, યુ કેન સી ધીસ apical meristem, root and shoot. So this is the root. You have already studied for the root cap. So this is the root cap. This is internal root cap, right? Here then the comes root apical meristem is there, and again above that there are the initial of central cylinder and cortex, right? Protoderm is there, cortex is there, and central cylinder is there. So these cells are there. This here root of apical meristem, these cells are continuously dividing. So by that division the growth is going to be increase. Understand? Same way you can see also shoot system. So shoot system, differentiating vascular tissues are there, auxiliary bud is present there, shoot apical meristem zone is there. Here this is going to be divided and it's going to elongate, and leaf perimodium, so where the leaf are generated. Now you can see here root apical meristem occupies the tip of the root, where the shoot apical meristem occupies the distance most region of the stem axis. During the formation of the leaves and elongation of the stem, some cell left behind from shoot apical meristem constitute the auxiliary bud. So you can see here auxiliary bud, right? That cells remain behind. Such buds are present in the axial of the leaves and are capable of forming a branch or a flower. The meristem which occur between mature tissue is known as intercellary meristem. Remember this. What is meant by intercellary meristem? So the meristem which occur between the mature tissue, right? They occur in grass and regenerate part removed by grazing herbivores. So where they are occurring? Intercellary meristem. So they are occurring in the grass, and regenerated parts removed by grazing herbivores. કે ચરતા પ્રાણીઓ જે છે ખાશે એટલે ઉપરનો ભાગ ખવાઈ જશે, ફરી પાછું ત્યાંથી વધશે. Both apical meristem and internal meristem are primary meristem. Now this apical as well as internal meristems are considered as a primary meristem because they appear early in the life of the plant and contribute to the formation of primary plant body. So as they are appearing early in the life of a plant, that's why they are called as primary meristems and contributes to the formation of primary plant body. The meristem that occurs in the mature region of the root and the shoot of the many plants, particularly those that produce woody axis and appear later than primary meristem, is called secondary or lateral meristem. So those meristems which are coming after the formation of primary meristem, they are called as secondary meristem or lateral meristem. They are cylindrical meristem, fascicular vascular cambium, interfascicular cambium, and cork cambium are the example of lateral meristem. Remember this. What are the example of lateral meristem? The fascicular cambium, interfascicular cambium, and cork cambium. These are responsible for producing the secondary tissue. Following division of the cell in the both primary as well as the secondary meristem, the newly formed cells become structurally and functionally specialized and lose the ability to divide. Once the cell is divided into both primary, or division take place in both the primary as well as the secondary meristem. એક વખત primary અને secondary meristem ની અંદર સેલનું division થઈ જશે completely and perfectly, ત્યાર પછી એ સેલ સ્ટ્રક્ચરલી અને ફંક્શનલી કામ કરતો થઈ જશે અને એ એની એબિલિટી જે છે ડિવાઈડ થવાની એ એબિલિટી લૂઝ કરી દેશે. બરાબર? સચ સેલ્સ આર ટર્મ્ડ એઝ પરમેનન્ટ ઓર મેચ્યોર સેલ્સ. તો એવા સેલ્સને આપણે કેવા કહીશું? પરમેનન્ટ ઓર મેચ્યોર સેલ્સ. કે આપણી બોડી છે, આપણી બોડીની અંદર હાઇટ નાના હોઈએ ત્યારથી આપણી હાઇટ ધીરે 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 વધતી જાય અપ ટુ સડન એજ 19-20 થાય અથવા મૂછનો દોરો ફૂટે ત્યાં સુધી વધે, પછી બંધ થઈ જશે. So that means the capacity of dividing of the cell that is lost. Now you become permanent, or you can call it as mature. Same way plants also become mature. During the formation of primary plant body, specific region of the apical meristem produces dermal tissue, ground tissue, and vascular tissue. Right? What this is? During the formation of primary plant body, so when the primary plant body is going to be organized, then specific region of the apical meristem is going to produce dermal tissue, ground tissue, as well as vascular tissue. Understand? Now, this is the easiest topics which you have already studied in 8th or 9th. Permanent tissue. So the cell of a permanent tissue do not generally divide further. Permanent tissue have all cells similar in structure and functions are called simple tissue. Remember this, permanent tissue. The permanent tissue is not going to divide further. Whatever the cells are present in the permanent tissue, they have structurally as well as functionally they are similar. So that kind of the tissue is called simple tissue. And permanent tissue having many different type of the cells are called as complex tissue. Permanent tissue તો છે જ પણ એની અંદર સેલ જે છે એ ડિફરન્ટ છે. So that is called as complex tissue. If the cell are similar and similar function, then it is called simple tissue. Understand? So let us see first of all simple tissue. So a simple tissue is made up of only one type of the cell. The various simple tissue in the plant are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Remember this, parent, scleren and collenchyma. Parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. So parenchyma, what is that? Forms the major component within the organ. So parenchyma forms major component within the organ, means inside the organ. The cell of parenchyma are generally isodiametric. What kind of the cells they are? Isodiametric. Iso means same, diametric, two divided, right? They may be spherical, oval, round, polygonal or elongated in a shape. So they may be spherical, round, oval or elongated in a shape. Remember, their walls are thin and made up of cellulose. Those cells which are present here, their cell wall is made up of cellulose. They may be either closely packed or have small intercellular space. So cell of parenchyma are closely packed or have intercellular space. The parenchyma perform various functions like photosynthesis, storage and secretions. As these kind of the cells are present within the organ, means inside the organ, so they perform the process of photosynthesis, storage as well as secretion. Next is about collenchyma. So the collenchyma occur in layers below the epidermis in dicotyledonous span, right? So where this collenchyma is present? So collenchyma is present below the epidermis in dicotyledonous span. Parenchyma, that is present inside the organ. This is present below the epidermis in a dicotyledonous plant. Okay. It is found either as homogeneous layer or in patches. So this what? Collenchyma. So collenchyma may be homogeneous in layer or in a patches. એક આખો એક સરખું લેયર હશે અથવા તો થોડા થોડા ગ્રુપમાં સરખા જોવા મળશે. Right? It consists of the cell which are much thicked at the corner due to the deposition of cellulose. So the cell of the collenchyma, they are thicked at the corner as deposition of the cellulose. Hemicellulose or pectin. So cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. These three things may be present. Collenchymus cells may be oval, spherical or polygonal. So these kind of the cells, collenchyma cells may be oval, spherical or polygonal and often contains chloroplast as they are present below the epidermis. કે એપિડર્મિસ ની નીચે આવેલા છે ને પ્લાન્ટ લીફ ની અંદર છે એટલા માટે એની અંદર ક્લોરોપ્લાસ્ટ હશે ને હશે. Intercellular space is absent. Remember here, collenchyma do not have intercellular space, right? They provide mechanical support to the growing plant of the plant such as young stem and petiole of a leaf, and the main function of this cell is to provide support to the plant as well as young stems and petiole of the leaf. Next, that is the sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma consists of a long narrow cell with thick and lignified cell wall having a few or numerous pits. So sclerenchyma are long narrow cells કે લાંબા પાતળા અને કાણા કાણા વાળા હોલ વાળા લાંબા સેલ્સ છે, right? Having numerous pits એટલે ઘણા બધા ખાડા ટેકરા એની પર જોવા મળશે. They are usually dead and without protoplast. So remember this, sclerenchyma ના એકલા જ સેલ dead છે, બાકી બધા જ કોલનકાયમા અને પેરેન્ટકાયમાના બંનેના લિવિંગ છે. સ્ક્લેરેન્કાયમાના ડેડ સેલ છે. ક્લોરોપ્લાસ્ટ કશું હોતું નથી. On the basis of variation in the form of structure, origin and development, sclerenchyma may be either fiber or sclerids. કે ભાઈ જેવું દેખાવ બરાબર જે જગ્યા પર હશે એ રીતે સ્ક્લેરિડ અથવા તો ફાઇબર હશે. The fiber are thick to wall, elongated and pointed cells generally occurring in a group in various parts of the plant, and sclerids are spherical, oval or cylindrical, highly thick dead cells with very narrow cavities, that is lumen. These are commonly found in fruit wall of the nuts, pulps of the fruits like guava, pears, sapota, seeds, coat of leguminous and leaves of trees. Sclerenchyma provides mechanical support to the organ. Remember, what is the function of sclerenchyma? So that provides mechanical support to the organ. So in this video up to here we will see. Next video we will see about complex tissue. So make a note of it. Write down individual parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, everything, and prepare it well. All the best.